or something else that's negatively affecting our quality of life. And it could be something as simple as being able to button up your t-shirt or tie your shoes. Or I think about my mom and my dad. My dad recently had to go around the house and change out all of the doorknobs from those twisting kind of doorknobs to ones that my mom could actually push with her whole hand because she had a bit of osteoarthritis in her thumb. So the last 10 years of our lives are not to the quality that they should be. Now, your average lifespan here in New Zealand is about 82 years of age, right? We've never lived longer than we currently are. But those last 10 years of those 82 years, on average, we tend to suffer from these sorts of diseases and other crippling deficits of daily living. So health span, that period in life when we're as healthy as we should be, is not keeping up with lifespan. So really what we want to start to think about is how can we bridge that gap between lifespan and health span. So think about your own quality of life. What if we could shorten that from 10 years to 5 years? Right? A 50% theoretical improvement in the quality of your life. Or what if you could even shorten that down to 1 year? Right? How great would that be? Me personally, I want to do a big nosedive into my grave when the sand runs out of my clock. Right? I don't want to be that guy that's scratching and clawing his way into the grave. I don't want to become a statistic. And believe me, I've got a whole other presentation on this, but you do actually have control over your health span. So talking about aging, and again, how it's affecting not just our quality of life, but actually our pocketbooks. So these are US numbers, but look, for example, if you're over the age of 85, you on average spend $20,000 on your health care every single year. So those last 10 years when we're not living as healthily as we should be, is also when we're accruing the majority of healthcare costs for us as individuals, but also as governments. And if you look at the percentage of dollars that very modern, wealthy societies around the world are spending on healthcare, whether it's in North America, Europe, Asia, or even here in New Zealand, that percent is skyrocketing as a percent of GDP. Of all the money that's coming into these countries, we're upwards around about 20%, give or take. And if we don't do something to control these healthcare costs, it will bankrupt even the wealthiest countries around the world. So there's a fancy little quote up on the screen with some big scientific words. But when I was doing my, especially postdoctoral research at the Linus Pauling Institute, I was fortunate enough to be part of some rather large grants, multi-million-dollar grants, where we were begging money, for money from the National Institutes of Health, right? Our government agency who funds a lot of health-related research. So basically what this says up on the screen is that nutrition can be a very cost-effective and actually effective way to help improve our health outcomes. And so this is how we would literally start every single grant. So again, some good catchwords where we're trying to impress these individuals who are going to give us these millions of dollars. But what we were referring to, again, is actually the scientific literature. So here there's a graphic up on the screen, and if we're talking about the aging population again, there's just 4 conditions up here, all right? Coronary heart disease, diabetes, age-related eye diseases, things like cataracts or age-related macular degeneration, osteoporosis. Those 4 conditions alone affect 75% of the population. 75%. But look what they found. With some simple, cost-effective nutritional interventions, things like fibers, omega-3s, B vitamins, chromium, lutein, zeaxanthin, which are compounds related to what we find in carrots, and then calcium, vitamin D. Very simple, cost-effective nutritional interventions can actually decrease the incidence of those 4 diseases from 3.3% to as much as 23%. Again, think about your quality of lives and the economic impact that could have. And in fact, those simple nutritional interventions could save the United States upwards of $40 billion every single year. Simple, cost-effective interventions that can positively affect our quality of life. So, do you guys know the number 1 and number 2 cause of disease around the world? Any guesses? Diabetes is up there. Cancer, number 2. Who's number 1? Heart disease, right. Heart disease and cancer are the number 1 and number 2 cause of death. And I put diabetes up here, not because it's actually killing a lot of us, but we're in the midst of an obesity epidemic, right? Around the world. And you don't tend to die from diabetes. You tend to die from complications of diabetes, and that tends to be cardiovascular disease. So if we don't do something about this obesity epidemic, these numbers are just going to skyrocket and skyrocket and skyrocket. And look, those 2 diseases alone kill 2/3 of everybody on the globe. 2/3. Now, if you know me at all, I'm not a doom and gloom guy, okay? So that's really all the doom and gloom statistics I'm going to show you. What I hope to do tonight is empower you with knowledge so that you can incorporate them into your lifestyle and help improve your health and ultimately your health span. But it's not just me talking up here. I'm going to refer to the scientific literature. And if you notice, most of my slides are referenced for the maybe 4 or 5 scientists that might actually be out in the audience. But this was a study that was done by Dr. Walt Willett. Okay? Dr. Walt Willett is a professor at a very prestigious university in the United States at Harvard. So Harvard is really kind of like the Cambridge, right, in the United Kingdom, right? Very prestigious university. Dr. Willett is an epidemiologist. So what that means is he's very, very good at looking at how we're living our lives, what we're doing in our lives, and is it predisposing us to dying prematurely. But what Dr. Willett wanted to do was actually turn his models on its head and say, what are the things people could do in their lives that could improve their health outcomes, okay? Improve their health outcomes. And if people were willing to lead a healthy lifestyle, eat a healthy diet, exercise, and, oh, by the way, this included nutritional supplementation, look what he found. Colon cancer and stroke were over 70% preventable if people were willing to lead a healthy lifestyle. Coronary heart disease was over 80% preventable if people were willing to lead a healthy lifestyle. And look what is clearly a disease of lifestyle, type 2 diabetes, over 90% preventable if people were willing to lead a healthy lifestyle. There was a study done by another group where they drilled down a little bit further, and you can see between the blue and the green, right, those number 1, number 2 causes of death. They wanted to ask the question, what was specifically responsible in our lifestyle for those premature deaths from chronic degenerative diseases? And look what they found, right? Literally, I'm not going to sit here and read a laundry list of things to you, but the point I do want to make is that they found that a number of the reasons that we're dying prematurely is from things that we're putting in our mouths. And if something up here isn't directly related to something we're putting in our mouths, right? Not eating fruits and vegetables, eating unhealthy fatty acids, eating too much sodium, smoking, right, et cetera, it's actually predisposing you to those same 2 causes of death. So what's the point I want to make? That what you're actually putting in your mouth is affecting your health outcome. Okay, let me say that again. What you're putting in your mouth, those diet and lifestyle choices you're making, is affecting your quality of health. Positively or negatively, okay? So let me ask you a question. Who needs to worry about nutrition? Who would you say?
Everyone.
I hope everyone in here says that it's everybody, okay? Because I would argue if your heart's beating, if you're breathing air and you're eating food, that you need to worry about nutrition, okay? Those are the stats. Now I hear all the time, Brian, I don't need to take a nutritional supplement because I get all the nutrition I need from my food. Have you guys heard that before? Right? Maybe you've said it yourself, right? I don't need to work. I eat a perfect diet. I'm vegan or I'm vegetarian. I keep paleo. I adhere to the Mediterranean diet. I mean, insert the diet fad of the day, the week, the month, the year. The fact of the matter is, when we look at what people are actually eating, that's not the case, right? And I don't care if you're in Europe, North America, China, or Australia, I've seen the same statistics literally around the globe. And look at it. look at how many nutrients we are not becoming even close to getting 100% from our diet. So what scientists will do is they'll have us fill out 3-day, 5-day, 7-day questionnaires where we'll write down everything that we've eaten. These scientists then can upload that information into these databases, and those databases will kick out the nutrient content of their diet. When they do that, this is the data that comes back. I mean, look, if you're a woman in this audience, literally every single woman sitting in this audience is not getting the minimum amounts of vitamin E that they need from their diet. Right? Do you know what your #1 source of vitamin E is here in New Zealand? What would you guess? It's crickets. No guesses? You're going to be shocked when I tell you what it is. It's the cakes, pastries, and ice cream is your #1 source of vitamin E in the New Zealand diet. Right? But there's an easy way to remember this, okay? It sorts out as what I like to call the alphabet soup of nutritional deficiencies. And I like to give you guys a hard time. I'm sure my accent sounds really funny to you, but I've noticed that you don't say your A's a lot, right? It's like Usana, Wada. So, right? But it's not to the top of the alphabet. Vitamin R, vitamin B, vitamin C, vitamin D, vitamin E, right? Is there a vitamin F? No, but we'll kind of ignore vitamin K for a little bit. And then you've got calcium, magnesium, and zinc, okay? 3 very important minerals for overall health. So we literally are deficient from A to zinc, right? That's the take-home message. Now, this went through our legal compliance group, and you're not supposed to recognize who that is, but I think we recognize the bottle, and we also especially recognize that marketing campaign, right? Deficient from A to zinc. Now, this has permeated our modern societies. We've got you covered from A to zinc. And I hear that all the time. Well, Brian, why can't I just take these so-called 1-a-day nutritional supplements? Well, it doesn't have you covered from A to zinc and anywhere close to those 100% values that we're talking about. Because when you actually turn that bottle around and read the ingredients that are on the label, there's a number of nutrients up here that are nowhere close to 100%. Okay? Now, I'm going to ask you for a little bit of permission, okay? If we were to take the average of both of these columns up on the screen, would you give me the permission to say that it's about 50%? Just simple, you don't have to be a mathematician, but just simple numbers, right? Most of those up there are more than 50%, but if we take the average, about 50%, is that fair? Will you give me that permission? So if we're thinking about the number of us that are nutrient deficient, let's say 50%. Why is that important? Because I hear it all the time as well that there's no scientific evidence to support nutritional supplementation. I, one, take extreme offense because there's a ton of research to support nutritional supplementation. But let's just walk through a little thought experiment for a second. So again, if you know me, you know that my mind works in very simple colors and pictures and shapes, all right? I like to think of the way our cell is working as being that of like an automobile assembly line, right, or a factory line. Now, think about that. A couple slides ago, there was that gentleman that was eating that burger. So he's eating that burger and fries is getting into his digestive system, and it's getting chopped up into small little pieces, right? So I like to think of our digestive system as being a disassembly line. Now, I want to ask you guys a question, but have you ever thought about what we're made up of? I mean, if you look at your hands, you look at your fingers, what are we actually made up of? Cells. Everybody always says cells. So I'm a little biased. I'm a little biased because my degree is in molecular biology. So I like to say that we're made up of molecules. All right? Right? Water's a molecule, fat's a molecule, protein's a molecule. Now, obviously, our cells are made up of molecules, and there's no question the cell is the smallest unit of life. No question. But the cell is made up of molecules as well. So we're made up of molecules that make up the cells that make up who we are. But where do all those molecules come from? You ever thought about this? Where did all my skin cells come from? Yeah, nutrition. It comes from all the food that we eat, right? Or your nutritional supplement. We are literally made up of the things that we put in our mouth. And that's why what we put in our mouth is so important to dictate our health outcome. Right? So does that make sense there? It's not magic. We're not plants. We're not solar powered. We're not making calories and molecules from the sun. Everything we're made up of comes from the food that we put in our mouths. Okay? So again, if you're going to give me the liberty of that 50% nutritional deficiency, help me walk through this, okay? So if our digestive system is a disassembly line, those molecules get put out into our bloodstream, they circulate around, they get absorbed by our cells, right, that make up our tissues and organs. And basically, I like to think of a cell as a little factory. In this case, an automobile factory. So literally, our cells are taking those molecules and putting them back together in whatever order it needs to conduct its function. Now, I like to think of those cars coming down that assembly line as being the macro nutrition that we're eating, right? The calories, the proteins, the fats, the carbohydrates. I like to think of the workers on that assembly line as being the vitamins and minerals, okay? So if I stop sending cars down that assembly line, if I stop eating those macronutrients, what are those workers going to do? They're just going to stand around, right, and have nothing to do. But what if I pulled all of those workers off of that assembly line? Are any cars going to get made? No, right? Now, again, you gave me the liberty for that 50%. What if I pulled 50% of those workers off of that assembly line? Are cars still going to get made? They are, right? Cars are going to get made, but is that assembly line working as efficiently as it could? This is exactly what we're talking about when we look at the scientific data and we see what's called subclinical, right? So before there's any real overt diseases that are present, subclinical nutritional deficiencies, okay? That assembly line isn't working as efficiently as it could. So that begs the next question then, well, what are the right levels of nutrients we should be thinking about when we're talking about nutrition, and especially optimal nutrition? Conventional wisdom has been everything that your mothers, your grandmothers, my mother, my grandmothers have told me over the course of my life, right? Brian, eat your vegetables, daggone, right? Eat your vegetables, eat those complex carbohydrates, eat those healthy, lean proteins, eat as much fiber as you can. And if you did that every single meal, you might be able to get those RDI or RDA levels of nutrition from your diet. But if you really think, what did you have for breakfast, lunch, and dinner today, yesterday, over the course of the month? Did you really eat every meal as perfectly as you could? Were you getting all of that nutrition that you needed from your diet? Now, I bet I'd see very few hands, and I'd also take exception because I just showed you the data that you're not eating perfectly every single meal. So let's talk about this just a little bit further. So we're not even getting those RDA or RDI levels, right, the recommended daily allowances or recommended daily intakes of nutrition that we need from our diet. But this is the old way of thinking about nutrition. So I'm going to pick on vitamin C here for a couple of slides. If I get the RDA or the RDI for vitamin C, what they're telling me is I'm not going to get scurvy. Okay? Does anybody in here know anybody who's had scurvy? Is there any?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, really? It's always in Australia or New Zealand. I see a hand go up. You'd be my fourth hand that goes up. But it's really very rare, right? And these are things we don't hear about very often, right? People who develop scurvy. And if they do develop scurvy, I'd be willing to bet it's a very extreme case, right? There's something that's going on. We just don't hear about these archaic diseases, right? Scurvy, diseases of pirates, right? When you would spend months and months and months on a ship without eating fruits and vegetables, their teeth would start to fall out, and they'd have other health concerns. But talking about optimal nutrition, if I eat the RDA or the RDI for vitamin C, I won't get scurvy. All right, we'll give them the benefit of the doubt. But what has been shown in the scientific literature is that if you eat just a little bit more vitamin C, you can actually help protect, not just from scurvy, but you can protect how your body is actually making energy. You can support energy production inside of that mitochondria, and the very complex molecular mechanism is up on the screen. What's been shown again is if you eat even more vitamin C, so now we're talking about 1 gram to 2 grams, you can actually help promote cardiovascular health. Right? So if this is a continuum here from worst to best, where would everybody like to be living on that continuum? And I hope everybody's thinking they want to live at the top, right? You want to maximize your health benefits. Now, what's a great source of vitamin C? An orange? Perfect, an orange. If I eat an orange and my body mines that vitamin C out of that orange, is my level going to stay up forever? No, it's not. And by the way, in an orange you have just about the RDA or the RDI for vitamin C, about 60 milligrams on average. But let's say our levels are getting to the top. Are they going to stay up forever? No, right? Our bodies are going to absorb it, we're going to utilize it. We're going to utilize it in those mechanisms that are shown up on the screen. It's going to fight the free radicals that are invading our body, and eventually our bodies are going to excrete it, and ultimately we end up back where we started. So one of the roles of nutritional supplementation is to guard against those nutritional deficiencies, not getting all that nutrition we need from our diet. The second role of nutritional supplementation is to help get us up into those optimal ranges. And the third role is to try to keep us in those optimal ranges for as long as possible. Okay? A very important point I want to make, we're just talking about nutritional supplementation. So I'm glad none of my bosses are here. It's not rocket science. We have known what the human body needs for the last 75 years. The state of the art of nutritional science is trying to optimize the dosages that we all need throughout our day and throughout our lives to maximize those health benefits. So what you have to do is all those things you've been told your entire life. You have to eat right, you have to exercise, you have to drink plenty of clean, pure water, you have to get at least 6 to 7 hours of sleep every night, and then you also have to try to live as stress-free as possible. And it's when you're doing those 5 things and then adding a nutritional supplement on top of that, that is really where you're going to set yourselves up for optimal health. Okay? So what I've talked about so far, just to emphasize everything, is that we are not getting enough nutrition from our diet. And those RDAs or those RDIs are just the starting point of where we need to be thinking about optimal nutrition. Okay? The last thing I want to do is talk about the industry just a little bit. Again, like I said, if we're honest, the nutritional industry doesn't have the best reputation in the world. And I'm going to tell you why I think that is, and then if you'll indulge me just a little bit, I'm going to brag about the company that I work for and represent, USANA Health Sciences. I don't know if the news has made it over here to New Zealand, but back in the United States, we have kind of a big scandal going on in the nutritional industry. So just a quick little political lesson, right? The United States is made up of 50 states, and basically these states work as little countries within our country. Each state has an attorney that's at the top, this kind of like lead or head attorney. So what this head attorney has done in the state of New York, in this case, right, where New York City is located, is he's went into a number of major retailers and he's pulled products off of the shelf. And what he did then was take those products and he submitted them for analysis to some independent third-party laboratories. Well, what they were looking for at these laboratories were the little DNA fingerprints for whatever it was that these companies claimed they were selling. So if they were selling maybe ginseng, maybe they were selling ginkgo, they were looking for those little DNA fingerprints. Well, guess what they found? I should tell you, let me ask you what they didn't find. They didn't find in a number of cases what was actually being sold or claimed on the bottle. But what was even worse than that is they found a number of adulterants, and some of those adulterants even included known allergens. So imagine if someone had an allergy to something, they took a product that they had no idea it was in, all of a sudden they have a severe allergic reaction, it can have drastic consequences. Well, this lead attorney in the state of New York went into these major retailers and pulled all of these products off of the shelf. And it's literally costing these companies billions of dollars. So this is still going on. It'll probably take years to actually resolve. But if you ask me the reason, why is this actually going on? This is why this happens. This is why this happens in the United States. This is why this happens in the industry around the world. To actually do business in the United States, we would only need this certificate on file to do business, right? Can you see what that says up there? Food establishment. So I don't mean, I'm sure there's restaurant owners and bakery owners out here, and I don't mean any disrespect, but we're regulated like we're running a restaurant or a bakery. And again, with all due respect, we think that making a nutritional supplement is far harder than baking a cake. Very technically difficult. So this is our mission statement: to develop and provide the highest quality health products in the world, right? And we pride ourselves on all the science and the quality that goes into our products. And the way we do that is we use this as kind of the sounding board, and we call it the quality equation. So it has to start with the best materials sourced from around the world, right? You then have to have people who know what they're doing actually putting your products together, because we know that some nutrients are incompatible together, and we know that some nutrients actually have to work together in synergy to maximize bioavailability and the health benefit as well. You can do the first two things right, but if you don't control the manufacturing process, those first two things can completely fall apart. There was a company a year or two ago who had a big recall. Now, I'm not going to name names, but they had a big recall. And it turns out they had to recall their product because they found a bunch of little tiny wire hairs in their product. And like, what? Well, what's going on? So it turned out in the contract manufacturing facility, as the ingredients would spill over onto the floor, they would take a broom and sweep it up and then put it into a little dustpan and then just dump it right back into the manufacturing process. So all the little hairs from the broom were falling off and ended up in their product, and there had to be a recall. So controlling the manufacturing process is absolutely paramount, and we manufacture 100% of your nutritional supplements in our facility in the United States. Science is constantly building on science, right? So as nutritional science advances, so do our products. So we will constantly read the scientific literature, we will do science in-house at USANA, and as that scientific literature advances, as nutritional science advances, so do our products. And then lastly, we're constantly monitoring for stability over time. So as our products are manufactured, we hold back a serious percentage of those finished goods, and every couple of months or so, we'll pull those products back out and we'll retest them to make sure that they're stable over time. Right? And that's why we can guarantee that the day of the expiration date, we'll guarantee that what's on the label is still actually going to be in your nutritional supplement. And that's where we put our potency guarantee. Okay? It's something we're very proud of, where we guarantee the potency, quality, strength, composition, identity, and purity of the product. But if we're honest, it's a little bit of internal marketing, right? But let's talk about what we do legally to go above and beyond this minimum requirement. So we adhere to good manufacturing practices set forth by NSF International, one of the world leaders in setting forth good manufacturing practices. So we've got certificates on file, but not just for GMP practices, but also we're registered as GMP for sport. So if you want to sell your products to athletes, you actually need an additional certification from NSF International. You don't have to register with what is our equivalent of the TGA in America, right? Our FDA. we voluntarily register with the FDA, which means they can come to our facility at any time, unannounced, ask to see any corner of our facility or any piece of paper that they want. So you can go online at fda.gov, you can verify that, but we also have those certificates on file. But guess where our toughest regulatory market is around the world? Is it Europe? Is it Asia? Is it Canada? Is it America? What would you guess? It's here. It's Australia and New Zealand, right? Your Therapeutics Good Administration they're great. I mean, they're a pain in our behind sometimes, but they're great and they are looking out for you. But the point I want to make, I don't know if you can see it way in the back, but we have to adhere to those GMPs, but it says for medicinal products. So we are literally regulated here and in Australia like we're selling an over-the-counter medication, aspirin, ibuprofen, whatever it might be. And we don't have just one line that's dedicated for New Zealand products. It's the same line that all of our products are coming off of. Some people, it's important to keep kosher or halal, and we've got those certifications on file. And then we're also a member of an industry advocate group, right, UNPA. We're trying to self-referee and clean up the industry and keep those, let's say, shady players out of the marketplace, something we're also very proud of. So it's not just those certificates as a food establishment, but it's those certificate after certificate after certificate with just a small handful of them shown there, where we go above and beyond legally to set ourselves apart from all the goofiness that's happening in the industry. Not to mention all the environmental awards that we have as well. So we're also trying to be good stewards of the environment, right? Buying wind power, putting solar panels on top of our facilities, trying to minimize packaging has won us a number of green and environmental awards. And all of that put together literally makes us the top-ranked nutritional supplement around the world. North America, Latin America, and even here in New Zealand and Australia. But the thing I want to leave you with, and the thing I think speaks the most highly to the quality of our product, are all the professional, elite, and Olympic athletes who are taking USANA products. In fact, we are the official health supplement supplier of everybody that you see up on the screen. But I want to tell you just a quick little anecdote. So where our facility is located in Salt Lake City, Utah, in the United States, about 30 minutes drive, is one of the high performance facilities for the United States Olympic ski team and snowboard team. So we've done some very great things with them. We work very closely with them. And I had a conversation once with Dr. Troy Flanagan, who's their director of high performance. Dr. Flanagan told me this once. He said, think about this. Think about it. I already have the most elite athletes coming to my front door begging me to train them, to give them a chance of standing on that Olympic podium. If that elite athlete takes 2 years off, right? It will take him at least 2 years during an Olympic cycle to train an athlete. If that athlete takes just 2 years off for whatever reason, maybe being lazy in the training, maybe they get an injury, or maybe they're banned from testing positive for a banned substance or a performance-enhancing drug, they have lost their lifelong dream, right, of standing on that Olympic podium. When I talk to these athletes at the ski team or the Women's Tennis Association, most of them would rather not take anything than take a nutritional supplement because they're so worried about testing positive for those banned substances or performance-enhancing drugs. So these athletes are not going to compromise their lifelong dreams and really their reputation where they make all of their money, right, their livelihoods, by putting an inferior product into their bodies. And again, we can do that through our athlete guarantees, through a number of third-party independent laboratory testing. So not only is this our mission statement, but it really is the bellwether that will put everything against. And obviously it goes for our nutritional lines, but we also manufacture 2 other lines, a healthy food line and a skincare line, where nutrition is the core of all of those 3 lines. So not only is our mission statement our bellwether, but it's also our promise to you guys. Right? We've been in business for 23 years, so we will continue to develop and provide the highest quality, science-based health products in the world, and that's a promise to you all for at least the next 23 years. So thank you, everybody, for coming out and